Hard work will get you started, but systems are what keep you growing. I learned this the hard way. In the early days, I thought that the answer to every problem was to work harder, to wake up earlier, and to just push through. But eventually, hustle alone made me hit a wall. No matter how many hours that I worked, the problems and the demands of my business only continued to grow. Clients started to slip through the cracks. Staff were asking me the same questions over and over and over, and I was being the bottleneck to everything in my business. That's when I figured out that my business wasn't suffering from a lack of effort. It was suffering from a lack of systems. If your business only works when you are working, you don't have a business. You own a job. And the moment that you burn out, everything else stops too. So in this lesson, I am going to walk you through exactly how to shift from relying on hard work, relying on your own memory, and being in reactive mode into building real systems that give you consistency, freedom, and scalability. And by the end, you'll know what to systemise first, how to actually build structure step by step, and most importantly, how to step into the role of CEO and not just the operator who is stuck doing it all. So let's talk about something that I call the operator trap. Okay, so if you're a cleaning business owner, just as an example, being the operator means that you are the worker. You're the one that's cleaning, you're the one doing the admin, and you're doing everything. When you're the operator, your entire business is held together by you. Your memory, how hard you work, and your ability to react to whatever comes up with the problems in business every day. And it feels like you're constantly spinning plates, but the only reason why you're not crashing is because you're running fast enough to keep everything moving. But the problem with that is that no matter how good you are at working hard, eventually you and your energy will become the bottleneck to growing your business. You cannot outwork your problems forever. Think about it like this. Operators wake up, they check their phones first thing in the morning, and then the first thing that they start to do is to put out fires. Operators rely on remembering what needs to get done instead of having a system that tells them exactly what and when. Operators pride themselves on working harder than anyone else in the business. But the truth is that they're just patching leaks in a sinking ship or slapping a band-aid over a bullet wound. In contrast, CEOs operate differently. CEOs build systems that run without them. They design structure so that things like quoting, scheduling, communication, and things like payment consistently happen every time, no matter who's at the desk or who's on the tools. Like a franchise model. Where operators build through stress, CEOs build real freedom so that they can perform at their best when it's needed. And no, not by scrubbing more toilets, but by actually reserving their energy so that they can make the tough calls and the big decisions, move the business when they come up. So where operators rely on effort, CEOs rely on design and intentionality. I remember when I was deep in the operator trap myself. In my cleaning business, every single client quote, every staff issue, every schedule change came straight back to me. I honestly thought that working more hours was going to be the solution. I would answer text messages late at night. I would do payroll on weekends. I would write quotes in the car between jobs. I was even doing the pay run and organizing rosters while I was in the hospital in labor, because that's the way that I built my business to require me. And it was exhausting. From the outside, it looked like it was successful because in a way it was, but because I was busy, my phone never stopped ringing and the money was coming in. But on the inside, I knew the truth. I was one bad flu or sprained ankle or a family emergency away from the entire business collapsing. And that was a lot of responsibility. Having multiple staff members, I literally gave birth and then went back to cleaning on the second day that my son was alive. And that's not a flex, trust me. The turning point for me was when I realized that my business wasn't failing to run smoothly without me because of a lack of effort. It was failing to grow because it couldn't operate without me. And that's when I started shifting from operator to CEO. It wasn't instant, and at first, building systems felt clunky, and it was definitely time consuming, and I didn't want to do it. Honestly, I resisted it and I procrastinated a lot because when you are that busy and burnt out, it is very hard to prioritize writing systems. But every time that I put one system in place in any of my businesses, the whole business becomes lighter. And suddenly, for my cleaning business, quotes went out automatically, scheduled updates went out without me touching them. Staff had checklists and there was processes for quality control instead of people asking me. And that's when I felt the relief because I was no longer in the chaos. I was above it. I was designing it how it all was going to run. And I was working on the business instead of being stuck in it. You need systems before you scale. So I want you to pause here and be brutally honest with yourself. Which part of your business feels the most chaotic right now? Is it quoting? Is it the scheduling? Is it staff constantly needing you? Is it invoices going unpaid for months or even years or not at all? Or maybe you're still carrying all of the tasks yourself. I want you to get a notepad and write it down. Don't overthink it. The first thing that comes to mind is usually the right answer. That resistance that you feel is the exact signal of where your next system needs to be built next. The operator trap is seductive because working hard does get you results, especially at first. But if you don't end up making the shift and building systems, you will end up capped by your own abilities. You are only one person and there are only 24 hours in a day. CEOs grow because they replace memory with structure, they replace reaction with consistency, and hard work with systems. That's the path to freedom and scalability. Hustle feels productive, but it's not sustainable. Hustle is reactive. It's firefighting problems, planning faster, and putting your personal energy into every single task. And it is not needed, especially in 2025. Systems, on the other hand, are proactive. They don't just solve today's problem, they stop it from happening again. Systems create consistency, efficiency, and client trust. The 3 ingredients that actually grow a business long term. And if you're ever planning on selling your business or getting investors, you will need systems to show the value of all of the hard work that you are doing. So let's break it down. Hard work alone over time creates burnout. It works in the beginning and there is definitely a time and a place for it, but only when you've got the energy and the adrenaline to continue pushing through. Eventually, you are going to hit a wall. The more you hustle, the more exhausted that you are going to get, and the more likely that you are to start making mistakes. Hustle creates errors. When everything relies on your memory or you're rushing to get it done, something will slip. Maybe you double book staff. Maybe you send the wrong quote to someone and it costs you money because you have to honor it. Or maybe you forget to follow up with a client. Every one of those mistakes chips away at your reputation and costs you both time and money. Hustle creates profit leaks. Think about the hours spent chasing invoices, rewriting the same emails, or manually calculating every single quote. Those hours could have been used to generate new clients, to train new staff, or to scale your business operation, but instead they're lost. Now compare that with systems. Systems create consistency. Whether you're on holiday, or you're at the gym, or you're dealing with a family issue, the process runs the same every single time. Clients will notice this and they start trusting your business because they know what to expect. Systems create efficiency. What used to take hours can be done in minutes or even automatic. That means you and your team can focus on higher value work instead of doing repetitive admin. Systems create client trust and better brand reputation. A client doesn't care how hard you're working at the end of the day. They care that you show up on time, that you do what you say you're going to do, and that you make the experience for them smooth. They're hiring you to solve their problems. Systems guarantee that level of quality experience for the customer. The difference is very clear. Hustle feels like you're working hard, but systems prove that your business is actually built to last. Okay, so I'll give you a personal example. In my cleaning business, quoting used to eat up hours every single day. I would get messages from potential clients that were unqualified at random times, and I would sit there manually writing out quotes in Facebook Messenger checking spreadsheets, and then replying one by one. It felt productive because I was winning clients, but in reality, I was stuck on a hamster wheel. And I can't imagine if I was ever planning on doing walkthrough quotes like so many cleaning business owners do, because that is a clear display of a lack of intentional planning in business and systems. So then I set up a quoting automation. It was basic at first. There was an online form where clients could enter their details about their property. The system would calculate the price instantly, and then it would send them a professional quote within minutes. And do you know what happened next? First, I got back 10 to 15 hours every week. That's nearly 2 full working days freed up just from one system. Second, my clients loved it because they didn't have to wait for me to get back to them. They had answers instantly. They build trust. And third, my conversion rate improved because I was the first to respond out of all of my competitors consistently. And clients chose us because everyone else was still manually quoting, because we were demonstrating our level of professionalism and we were solving problems for our clients instead of creating new ones. That one system didn't just save me time, it literally increased revenue and positioned me as more of a professional company, which is night and day in the cleaning industry when people charge cash. My quoting system in itself was one of the main reasons why I have dominated the market of every single city that I have opened a new location in. Now imagine multiplying that effect across every area of your business: invoicing, scheduling, staff onboarding, even your hiring process, and of course, all of your client communication. That's when you start to see the compounding effect of systems. I want you to grab your pen and paper or open up your notes app and list out 3 mistakes that happen repeatedly in your business. It could be double booking staff, forgetting to send an invoice, clients chasing you for updates, for you forgetting to follow up, new staff members making the same beginner errors, spending hours every week answering the same questions. For each mistake, I want you to ask yourself, what system could fix this permanently? For example, if you're double booking staff, start using scheduling software like Booking Koala or ZenMaid that won't allow for overlaps. If you're forgetting invoices, set up automated invoicing through your accounting software, or do what I do and charge clients upfront by card for every booking. And for clients chasing updates from you because you forget to follow up, then send them out pre-written automated check-ins by email or SMS, or create them a client portal like I did at Beska Cleaning. This simple exercise is the first step to replacing hard work with systems. Every mistake is a signal. Don't just fix it once. Design a process so that it never happens again. Hard work will always feel urgent, but systems are what create lasting growth. The moment that you commit to building systems, you stop playing catch up and you start building something that works with or without you. Okay, so I know what you're thinking right now. What do you systemize first? Well, here's one of the most common mistakes that I see when business owners finally realize that they actually need systems and they try to start systemizing everything at once. They create massive checklists, they buy too many tools and products, and they overwhelm themselves before anything actually changes. But the truth is that you don't need to systemize everything right away. You need to start where it counts most for you and your business. That's why one-size-fits-all courses, they just ain't it for me. So here's the golden rule. Systemize the repetitive, time-heavy, and error-prone tasks first. These are the things that you do over and over again, the things that drain your energy, and the things where mistakes cost you money or reputation. For most service-based businesses, these priorities are what I call the big 5. So the first one is quoting and onboarding. Every business lives and dies by how fast and consistently it can bring on new clients. If quoting takes too long or it feels inconsistent, then you are going to lose clients. If your onboarding is messy, your clients will lose trust right away. Automating or streamlining this part of your process gives you immediate win. And by actually taking the time to sit down and figure out how to give instant pricing, that makes you actually look look at your numbers, which is always a bonus. 2, scheduling. If your calendar or job board looks chaotic, you will spend hours fixing double bookings, rescheduling last minutes, and managing staff availability. A solid scheduling system stops all of that. And also, while I'm at it, there is no reason why you should ever be rescheduling or cancelling on a client because you or your staff have run over on jobs. That drives me up the wall. But the third one is payments and invoicing. Chasing invoices kills your cash flow and your energy. Too often, I see business owners take contracts that only pay every 6 months while they're trying to expand their team and scale their business. And if you're a bootstrapped business, which means you have no investors and you just use your own money that you earn as you go to reinvest and grow in your business, then that creates a lot of unnecessary burdens. You don't take clients who tell you that they pay you every 6 months. If that's not going to work the best for your business, then you need to be intentional with these types of things. And building systems helps to bring clarity around that. And you need to start taking these things into consideration when you're making decisions. If you had a system here, it would mean that you would get paid faster, consistently, and without the awkward following up messages that you send backwards and forwards. It also means you could save hundreds of thousands or even millions over the lifetime of your business, and it creates a smoother client experience anyway, without the constant backwards and forwards and draining your time. Fourth one is communication and follow-ups. Clients expect updates. Staff need direction. If all communication relies on you replying instantly, then you are going to start drowning in messages that you can never reply to. And what happens when your business Facebook and all your contact methods are logged in on your personal phone, and then you get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to the toilet, you check your phone and you've got those notifications there, and now you can't sleep because Betty has called in sick again, there's another problem in the business, or you've just gotten a negative review and now you are in reactive mode again. But a system, whether it's automated emails, scheduled check-ins, or a shared portal for your clients, makes communication smooth. And in my other videos on sales, I cover how to improve conversions with the right automated follow-ups that can double your booking rates. The fifth system is staff training and onboarding. If you're repeating yourself every time that you hire, you are stuck in Groundhog Day every time you try to grow and expand. You need training documents, SOPs, and recorded videos so that your staff can learn consistently without draining your time. And when you document your systems, you also have a framework of training anyone who you bring into your team, whether that's virtual assistants, whether it's a business strategist like myself, whether it's an employee, or it all becomes easier once it's written down. So this is how I chose my first system. When I first realized that I needed systems, I was drowning in tasks. My instinct was to try and fix everything myself. But I asked myself, where am I losing the most time every single week? The answer was pretty obvious. In quoting, every day I would have new messages from clients asking for prices. I would manually type them out, double check in my emails, double check the calculations in my notes on my Excel sheets, and then I would send them backwards and forwards. Sometimes I would forget, sometimes I would get back too late and lose the job because I was cleaning all day, and sometimes I would underquote because I was rushed. So instead of trying to build 100 different systems, I started with just one because it was the biggest constraint of my business. So I prioritized it knowing that it would give me the most growth. I automated my quoting. Suddenly clients could enter their details and the system would spit out a professional quote instantly, and it would manage the follow-ups as well. That freed up hours every single day and made us look more professional than our competitors. After that, I asked, okay, so what's the next biggest drain or blockage in my business? That's how I moved step by step through scheduling payments and eventually staff training. By starting with the big five, you are not just fixing problems. You're building the foundations of a business that can actually scale. So your exercise for this video is to spot the biggest drain in your business. Okay, now it's your turn. Look at these 5 areas: quoting and client onboarding, scheduling, payments and invoicing, communication and follow-ups, and staff training and onboarding. Now ask yourself honestly, which one of these drains the most of your time? And I want you to write it down. That is your starting point. Don't try to build all 5 systems at once. Choose the one that feels the heaviest and then start there. Remember, systems are built one brick at a time. So just get one solid system in place and then move to the next one. That's how you escape the chaos without overwhelming yourself. Okay, now let's talk about how to systemize the process. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Systems matter. But how do I actually start building them? Well, the truth is that systemizing your business doesn't happen overnight. It's not about buying a piece of software and then expecting it to magically fix everything. It's about following a simple, repeatable process. I use a 5-step framework to systemize everything in business. Think of it like a cycle, not a one-time event, but something that you are going to keep on refining as your business grows and evolves, and as your skills grow as the founder as well. So this is the 5-step framework. First, identify. Find the repetitive, time-heavy task and ask, what is something that I do over and over again that drains my time or creates mistakes? It could be quoting, it could be invoices, training staff, or even answering the same client questions every single day. Next, document it. Write it down or record it. This is your SOP, which is your standard operating procedure. Keep it simple. Don't be too fancy. A Google document, maybe something even in Notion, a Word document in your saved files, or a Loom screen recording, or even a voice note walking through the process step by step. Documentation doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to exist. A virtual assistant is actually great for helping you to document your systems. So if you need one, let me know because we have them to help you at Venture Mentors. Third, automate. Let tech handle whatever it can. Once something is documented, ask, can a tool do this faster and more consistently or efficiently than me? Maybe it's an automated email follow-up. Maybe it's scheduling software like Booking Koala or ZenMaid. Or maybe it's accounting software like Xero that sends invoices automatically. Fourth is to delegate. Hand it off to a staff member or a virtual assistant, or if you're ready, AI agents, which we can help you with at Cornerstone AI. When a process is documented and supported by automation, it's easy to hand it to someone else. They don't need to know absolutely everything. They just need to follow the basic steps. Fifth is to refine over time and improve with feedback. Systems aren't perfect the first time that you create them. And when you write them down, you will probably want to change them as you're writing them. But I want to challenge you to actually just write them down exactly as they are right now, the first time. And then once they are written down, then you can review them. Then you can find the gaps that need tweaking, and you can start asking your staff members where the system breaks down in their process. Ask yourself, could it be done faster or simpler or more cost effectively? Refining over time makes your business bulletproof. When I built my first system, it was far from perfect, but I decided to document how I was handling my client quotes in my cleaning business. And at the time, it was all in my head. So I grabbed a notebook to scribble down the details, and I would have to text clients or email them through a price or send them one on Facebook Messenger. Sometimes I would forget to follow up. Sometimes I lost the paper that I got their details on. Not to mention, on a different note, I just remembered that I used to write down the staff rosters on a weekly printed out calendar and then message every single one of my staff on Facebook Messenger their rosters for the week every Sunday night. And that was all the way up until I had 18 full-time staff, by the way. Anyway, so I sat down one afternoon and I forced myself to write out every step, how I calculated what my rates were, what questions I asked clients, the exact wording that I used in follow-up messages. It was clunky at first and it looked very messy because it was, but it was the first step. Next, I recorded a quick Loom video walking through me using the form, and then I put it into a Google document so that anyone after me could watch it. And after that, I found a quoting software that could automate the calculations, which was Booking Koala, but they're not great with AI automations like AI agents. So consider watching my other videos around software before you sign up. It just depends on how large you want to grow and how much you want to automate. But suddenly, instead of spending an hour a day on quote, it was happening instantly, 24/7, every day of the year, without me. And finally, when I hired an admin, I could just hand them the SOP and the video and say, this is how we quote, and they didn't need me for training. They just followed the process and used my sales scripts. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't have one-on-one training, guys. Use your discernment here. But it wasn't polished at first, but the system freed up so much mental energy. It was the building block that helped me to step out of the operator role. So now it's your turn, because listening without action will not get you anywhere, guys. I want you to think about your business this week. Choose one task that feels repetitive or frustrating. It doesn't need to be the biggest thing. It could be something small like onboarding new clients or posting daily updates on social media. Step 1 is to write down the steps that you take now to do it, even if it's rough. Step 2, if you can, record yourself doing it on Loom or on your phone. Step 3, ask yourself, or better yet, ask ChatGPT, could a tool do this better? Or could someone else follow this if I wasn't here? And that's it. That's the beginning of systemising. Remember, you don't need to build perfect systems in one day. You build messy ones and then you refine them over time. But every single documented process is one less weight on your shoulders. And take my advice, please complete only one system at a time in its entirety before you start on the next one. Okay, so here's a bonus about choosing the right tools. Because the thing about choosing tools is that a lot of business owners think that software is the system, but it is not. A system is the process. A tool is just the support structure that makes the process easier, faster, or more consistent. If you don't have clarity on your process first, the fanciest tool in the world will just create more confusion. But if you do know your process, then the right tool feels like rocket fuel. It multiplies your efforts. This is also why we do mentorship and automations, because often people come to us to be automated and they actually have no systems in place, which is a business issue. So we usually end up mentoring them one-on-one with our team at Venture Mentors. By the way, guys, I have quite a large team behind the scenes at Venture Mentors and even client facing. We have mentors who are experienced in startups and scaling that have helped me to grow my businesses, psychologists, software developers. We can build your websites. We can help you with your brand positioning, creating your offers. I can consult you around what to automate in your business and get a strategic plan for your business. We can systemize, we do strategy. Anyway, if you want one-on-one advice, please book a 15-minute call and start that process. If you want automations, head to cornerstoneai.com.au and book a 15-minute intro call with me and my team members too. So here are some of the most useful tool categories for service-based businesses. The first category is a CRM, like an all-in-one platform, like Go High Level, which is more like your pipeline, your email automations after you already have a scheduling software like Jobber or ZenMaid or Booking Koala, and accounting software, usually something I just use Xero. I'm sure you have your own, maybe QuickBooks or something like that. I have other videos about this, but if you have ever wanted to see a specific video and you would like to request it, please do so on the Venture Mentors website or just send me an email. So these softwares keep client data in one place, automate your follow-ups, handle your quoting, and manage your invoicing. Project management tools like ClickUp, Trello, or Asana, or I could even go as far as ChatGPT 5 or maybe even Gemini, are perfect for organizing your tasks and keeping your team aligned, keeping your thought process aligned, and making sure that nothing falls through the cracks in your business. Then we have a documentation and knowledge basis. If you use Go High Level, you can keep it in there, but something like Google Drive, Notion, or a standard Office suite like Word and PowerPoint, this is where you're going to be keeping all of your SOPs, checklists, and training videos, like everything that your staff need to access so that they don't always have to come back to you for answers. So I'll give you an example from my own experience, because in the early days, I signed up for a project management tool because everyone was raving about it and I was new in business. I didn't even know what I wanted it to do. I just thought, if I buy this, my business will feel more organized. But because I hadn't actually mapped out my process first, it just became more chaos. We had boards and lists of tasks everywhere, but no one actually knew how to use any of it. It just created more noise and more tasks to confuse my staff. Later, when I clarified the process first, here's how we onboard clients, here's how we manage our daily jobs, then I picked a simpler tool that fit the process and met more of the needs for my business. And suddenly, everything clicked. The tool amplified the system instead of becoming another problem that I added to my plate. This is the key, because the wrong tool will slow you down, as well as the wrong strategy. The right tool or strategy will speed you up. For anyone curious about my automated quoting system for Beska cleaning, it used to be on Booking Koala and integrated with Go High Level, which we can help you with at Cornerstone AI. But that has its limitations, and Booking Koala is quickly falling behind the race as they don't have an open API key. So we can't do two-way integrations that mail. AI agents don't work well with limiting and outdated platforms like Booking Koala. So consider your long-term plans when making decisions. Booking Koala can still be great. It just depends on what your goals are for business. So we can consult you around this too to guide you in the best way for your business. Here's your exercise for this section. I want you to look at one area that you identified earlier in your business that feels the most chaotic. Maybe it's your quoting, maybe it's your scheduling, maybe it's your payment system, or it's your staff training. And now ask yourself, what tool could support a better process here? Do I need a CRM? Do I need a scheduling software, or just a shared Google document to get me started? Your task is to pick one tool to explore this week. Not 5, not all of them, okay? Just one. Test it, play with it, and see if it supports the process that you're trying to systemize. Remember, tools aren't the magic bullet, and in my experience, you never really find one tool that fits every need or process across your business anyway. They don't replace your need for systems, but when you pair the right tool with the right process and you can integrate them together, I mean literally through AI and automations, it feels like taking weights off your shoulders. Suddenly your business stops relying on hard work and starts running like a machine. All right, so now we have covered the why, the how. Let's cover avoiding the common mistakes when people finally commit to building systems. They often will overcomplicate it. And ironically, instead of freeing themselves, they create more chaos in their business. So here are the 3 biggest mistakes that I want you to avoid. The first one is over-engineering too early. You don't need a 100-step flowchart for something that could be solved with a simple checklist. Keep it simple until the process is proven. 2, buying software without process clarity first. The tool is not the system. If you don't know what your process is, then no software will save you. It'll just give you more settings to configure, more distractions, more costs, and more headaches. The third is documenting too much at once. Trying to write down every single thing that your business does will overwhelm you. Instead, systemize it in real time with one process at a time, starting with the ones that you use most or that cause the most friction in your business. I once built a massive system in Trello for staff training that had dozens of checklists, cards, and attachments, and it looked pretty impressive, but no one used it because it was too complicated. The staff ended up coming back to me with questions every single day, and when I stripped it back into just a 1-page standard operating procedure with a short training video, suddenly it actually worked. That experience taught me that simplicity beats complexity every single time. Just like your marketing, instead of trying to be cute with fancy words, being clear gets better results because more people can actually understand it. Okay, so ask yourself, what's one area of my business where I've been overcomplicating instead of simplifying? Write it down and then commit to stripping it back to the essentials. All right, so this wouldn't be a full training if I didn't mention measuring the return on investment, return of systems. Systems are not costs, they are investments. And like any investment, they should be bringing in a return at some point. So here is how to measure your ROI for a system. The first is, how many hours does it save you? How much time did this system free up every single week? The second is, how many errors did it reduce? How many mistakes are no longer happening? The third is improved client retention. Are clients staying longer because their experience is more consistent? When I systemized quoting, the results blew me away. Not only did I save hours every week, but my conversion rate increased. Why? Because clients got their quotes instantly and I wasn't losing them to competitors who were too slow that still do walkthrough quotes. That one system booked revenue and gave me back my time so that I could actually scale my cleaning business. So ask yourself, how many hours could I save per week by systemizing just one repetitive task? Write down your estimate and then multiply it by 4 weeks, then by 12 months. That's your real return on investment, because even one system could save you hundreds of hours per year. But I don't want you to stop there, because I want you to build a culture in your business of systems. A system only works if people actually follow it. That means building a culture of systems inside your team. Leadership is the key here. You can't just create a process and then hope for the best. You have to enforce, make it non-negotiable that the system is followed. You have to reward, acknowledge, and encourage your team members who use the systems well, and you have to refine them regularly. You have to update your systems based on your team's feedback and the direction of your business so that they stay useful and relevant. So in my business, staff used to come to me with the same questions over and over and over until I realized that it wasn't because they were lazy at their jobs. I hadn't set the expectations properly. It was because I hadn't built a culture of using standard operating procedures, and I kept answering their questions instead of pointing them towards the process. Once I started saying, check the standard operating procedure first and then come back to me if it's not clear, things started to change and the systems improved too. Because over time, staff began to rely on the systems instead of relying on me, which freed up even more of my time as a business owner to work on the business and to work on myself. So again, ask yourself, what's one system that I want every staff member to follow perfectly? Then you write it down, and that is the system that you need to reinforce until it becomes a habit. If you have seen my mindset videos, then you know that this wouldn't work without the CEO identity shift, okay? So hear me out, because most business owners stay stuck in the operator identity. They are hard workers, but they rely on effort. They pride themselves on working harder than anyone else in their business. And yes, hard work builds momentum at the start and it usually has a quick reward system, but it caps your growth because at some point you run out of hours, energy, and patience to continue your business. While CEOs, on the other hand, don't rely on effort. They rely on intentionality and design. A CEO builds systems and hires the people and creates the structures that carry the load. They don't wake up thinking, how much can I personally grind it out today? They wake up thinking, how can I make the business run smoother, faster, and stronger without me in the middle of everything every day? How can I buy back my time as a CEO? I remember the exact moment that whole thought process actually hit me. I was actually in a therapy session after I had just hit burnout. I was struggling with severe postpartum depression. I was winning Australian-wide awards and the business was growing and we were making money, and it was great because that's what I wanted, but I was drowning in work and I was convinced that I just needed to push harder. But when I actually stepped back, literally only because I had to, because I got burnt out, I realized something uncomfortable, which was I wasn't building a business. I was building a job for myself. When I made the shift into creating my CEO identity, it meant letting go, and it meant trusting the systems more than my own memory and trusting my staff more than my own ego. It meant saying, I don't have to be the hero. My systems can be the hero. That one mindset change gave me the freedom to actually start working more on the business and not in it. And with that came the right type of sustainable growth, success, and money, which we all love, which I do anyway. So in order for you to step into CEO mode, I want you to ask yourself, if I acted like a CEO for the next 7 days, which systems would I build first? Don't overthink it. Don't try to build 10 systems. Just pick one. That is the CEO move. Focus on the leverage point, not on the grind. Sometimes it literally helps to imagine that you had to pay someone else whatever wage you're getting from your business, and imagine it's a CEO that's going to come in and clean up your business. What would they do? Even picture me or someone else. What would they do? What would you do if you were the version of you who was 10 years from now, who worked it all out in the end, who built the business and made the money? What would they do? What would the version of you do who was in their CEO mode, who was buying back their time and freedom? All right, I love to talk, but I'll wind it up here with an implementation roadmap. So let's talk about how to actually roll this out. This is the step-by-step roadmap that you can follow to systemize any area of your business. Okay, so first I want you to audit. So I want you to identify where you are bleeding time. Look at your week. Where are you repeating yourself? Where are you fixing mistakes more than once or getting pulled into the chaos instead of working on the business? Next, prioritize. Pick the top 1 or 2 max areas. Don't try to fix everything at once. Go for the task that will save the most time or stop the biggest mistakes or save the most money. 3 is document. Write a simple SOP and record a quick video. Don't aim for perfection. Just get the process out of your head and into a format that someone else can follow. 4th, automate it. Link the process to a tool. Ask, can technology do this faster, cheaper, or more consistently than you can? If yes, automate it. Next, I want you to delegate it. Hand it off to a virtual assistant or an AI agent. Once documented, you don't need to remain the bottleneck. Let someone else take it over. 6, review it, track the results, and refine it over time. Systems aren't set and forget. You need to revisit them regularly and improve them and keep them simple. So, I want you to make a commitment right now to complete this sentence. This week, I will systemize something system. It could be sending invoices, quoting clients, onboarding new staff, or even posting social media content. Whatever it is, commit to one system this week, because systems don't just appear, they're built one at a time, and slowly they start to compound. So remember that systems are freedom, and the CEO identity is about building a business that works whether you are present or not. And the way you get there is simple. One system at a time. Take this 7-day challenge very seriously to build your first system, to prove to yourself how powerful it is to be a part of this portal, and you will never go back to running your business on hard work alone again.